I got lots of notes.
It is Teleforum, and it is going to be a busy first hour. It's going to be busy all day, but the first hour especially. Tom Young is my guest for the first hour, and that means you can listen to it, which obviously you are. This isn't a voice in your head. You can watch it, too. It's being live Facebook streamed. Tom Young, I never get everything in, so before we start talking, First Consultants, but how many different titles do you have? You are a highlight and son of a gun. Family Money Farm, the CFO Project, Financial Mastery Blueprint, the CFOproject.com. So you're busy.
I'm chasing a dream, Eddie. At 72 years old, I'll be 73 next month in September on the 20th, and I'm still chasing a dream. And you know,
are you making
people
any
say,
headway on
what? I don't know. You know, I believe because there has been things happen recently with clients, people that have been a client for 20 plus years.
Okay.
All of a sudden, you know, kids are going to college, and the things that we've been doing, because it's not get rich quick.
No.
The fruit on the tree is showing up. And I am humbled.
The fruits of the labors.
I am humbled by what some of my clients have actually said to me about me. And if you don't believe me, go to the website, firstconsultantsinc.com, and there's testimonials in there and some videos of people that made. It just, I'm humbled at this point in my life. You know, it's really all about, you know, people. It's not what you do in life, it's the person you become. Okay. And in doing that, how many lives, I love the movie It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
You know, Jimmy
Clarence.
Clarence the Angel, you know.
And I don't want to dirty this up, but Donna Reed was smoking hot in that movie, okay?
She was.
Please move back to the wholesome part of your story.
She was.
Yes.
But you don't know the influence of your life.
Right.
Here you are, here I am, and I look back, and you know, I got two grandsons right now that they're everything in the future. I want to make sure that when they become adults, I hope I'm still alive. I expect to be still alive, and I want to make sure they have opportunity.
All right.
I'm not interested in leaving them rich, although there will be things left for them, but I want to make sure that they have an opportunity and they understand what an opportunity is. And that's sort of the theme of our show today. We've been talking about savings. I have been on my podcast for the last 6-8 weeks, and we reach a point now where we've beat the savings, but I want to talk today about velocity of money. Now, what velocity of money and multiplier effect. And we'll get into that, and I got a lot of ground to cover, but I want to lay the groundwork. And the first thing is the 6 inches between your ears. We always talk about that. That you have to have faith and belief. You know, faith is belief in something unseen.
Yeah.
Okay.
That leap of faith.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to have faith in your life and believe that the great thing can happen in your life. Whatever that great thing is in your life. But so many people today are literally, they have been beat down so much, and I believe a lot of people have literally given up. They're riding through life hoping not to make waves, and I meet some of them and they got dead, and the water is right here, Eddie. Much of a wave, and they're going to drown.
You're barely functioning, if that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so it all has to start with, you know, what do I do first? And that was what brought the Money Farm book, you know, the Family Money Farm,
right.
The CFO Project. And the basis of that book is the 4 rules that I really get into in the ebook, Financial Mastery Coaching, the Blueprint, which is the newest book, and it's only an ebook right now. And you can get that by going to CFO-project.com.
Okay.
That website, CFO-project.com. Put in your name and email address. No, I don't sell them to anybody. And you will get an email with a link in it to download both of my books, the Family Money Farm, the CFO Project, and the Financial Mastery Coaching, the Blueprint. And those books have all the ingredients of the 4 rules that you have to learn to utilize, to live by.
Right.
But remember, we talked about the financial world, and the financial world has rules. I want all your money. I want more ongoing. I want to keep it forever.
As long as I can.
And give back as little as possible. And when you understand that, and I would ask you, well, how do they do that? Here I haven't told the answer, but how do you think they do that?
Okay.
Eddie, you want to try to answer that?
How do I think people
Those
or the
4
banks?
rules, how does the financial world do and make those 4 rules work?
They make it work because if you don't have a bank, can you function in society? If you don't have some sort of financial institution or planning, it's just about not possible to function.
Okay, well,
it's like easy. It's like easy pass.
We're back to the thinking process,
right?
Okay, so everything starts with the thinking process. Now, what impacts the thinking process? I mean, we're in a commercial radio station,
yep,
and you guys do advertising. That's what pays the way, right? So what is advertising? It's brainwashing. Okay. We talked last month about the McDonald's hamburger, sesame seed bun, special sauce.
Special sauce, yes, it is.
Okay.
It's propaganda.
Okay.
At least, yes.
So if you can remember that, think of all of the things, and consciously you don't think of them, but they're buried in your subconscious in the archives. And so we have 2 conscious. We have the conscious mind, which is you and I talking right now.
Okay.
And then we have the subconscious mind. And an example of that is you're in a conversation with somebody and they say, well, they ask you a question and you say, give me a minute, I'll think of it. We've all responded that way. So you go on with your conversation, and 2 or 3 minutes later, there's the information.
You just blurt it out.
So you sent the archives director into your archives while you're consciously up here doing this, into your archives to find the information, and whoop, there it is. Now, some people call that senior moments, and that's an insult. I don't like that, and because my computer and your computer are much fuller than Curtis.
Yeah, Curtis.
Curtis runs the show, and I'll show you a picture of him later on my Facebook Live here.
And when you see him, you'll know. Yeah, Tom's smarter.
Okay. But he knows his stuff on the IT.
That's right.
Keeps us going. So now we got this thinking going on, and now we have to think of the human nature stuff. And there's several of the human nature things, and I had them written down here. There they are. They're right in front of me. They're Parkinson's law. Excuse me. Parkinson's law. Okay. And this guy named Northcote Parkinson.
What a lovely name.
A lovely name.
Yes.
Come up with an idea. Work expands to the time envelope. Very simply. If you have all day, but you have a job to do that really only an hour long, how long will it take you to do the job? It's going to take you all day.
I'm going to find a way to stretch it out. That's right.
Absolutely.
Work to the clock.
That's Parkinson's law. So we have to be aware of that. Now the worst one of all, and this one I want to focus on, is the arrival syndrome.
Okay.
A lot of people get to a point in life and they say, "Oh, I know all about that." We're going to talk about the most magical secret financial product that exists. We're going to talk about that today. I will reveal that secret before we're done today. But it is the product, the financial tool that will create more wealth in your future than anything else while you're alive, after you die, the whole ball of wax. And it will allow you to apply the velocity of money and multiplier effect. Now, what that is a dollar comes into your life. Money in motion creates more money. If you take your $1,000 paycheck, if you get that much, and you go out into the backyard, dig a hole.
I appreciate you thinking so highly of me.
Wrap it in a Muslim piece of cloth, put it in a tin can, seal it up, bury it in the backyard, and come back 30 years. What do you have? What do you dig out of the ground? Your $1,000.
It's $1,000,
but it only buys $300 worth of goods and services.
Yeah, then I don't want to bury it because I'm losing money with it in the ground.
Well, that's the same with the way we save money.
It's the legend of Willie Swamp. It ain't going to help you.
We park it with the government. Remember the 4 rules? I want all your money more and go and keep forever.
Yeah, and get back as little as possible.
And while that is going on, they put it in motion. They loan it out to other people, fractional banking. Every dollar you put in the bank, they create $7 on average. So And back to It's a Wonderful Life. Do you remember the run on the banks? What happened? That was about the crash.
Yeah,
So how much money was in the bank when all the customers went to the savings and loan and wanted my money?
George ends up having to leave it here so the bank doesn't crash. I'll give you the money.
Right. So do you think it's any different today?
No. Well, yeah. The difference is instead of showing up at the bank, we'll get a text from our bank saying your money's gone.
If the computers are working.
Yeah.
If the computers are working. So the 10% in the bank is still the same today. The only difference is we have FDIC today, which is that insurance on our savings, up to $250,000 per individual, per tax number, Social Security number, and per financial institution. However, what is that? What is FDIC? It's your and my money.
It's important
it's
because
our
the
money.
commercials,
we insure our money with
our money. You're right. We did.
And
your money's insured. You talk about propaganda. Every bank commercial, what's at the end? FDIC insured.
Absolutely. So that leads me, and where's my other note? I have one more. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. That was it. Now, the U.S. debt clock. We're going to do this every month. Now, I'm remiss. Let's stop right now and do our prayer.
Okay.
We pray for everybody in the world affected by this Chinese virus that has gone around the world, purposely or otherwise, we don't know. But we pray for everybody. We pray that the Lord would gather them into his arms, take them to his kingdom of heaven above. We had extra prayers for the Ukraine and Russia thing going on, that somehow lightning would struck these people in the head and bring peace to their mind so that they could figure out that killing people isn't the answer. So we pray in Jesus' name. Sorry about that, folks. I should have done that at the beginning, but I wanted to do that.
It still counts.
Still counts. So U.S. debt clock. Here we are, folks. We got $30.650 trillion of debt.
And a trillion is 1,000
billion. 1,000
and a billion
is 1,000 million.
Okay.
Right. So the revenue of the federal government is $4.426 trillion.
Okay.
But they spent $6.030 trillion. They spent $1.6 trillion more than they took in. So I always equate that, folks. Imagine you have income of $44,000 a year, but you spent $60,000.
Yeah, that's not
so
going to
your
work.
credit card, you run your credit card, and now you spent $20,000 more than you took in. How many years could we do that, Eddie, as an individual?
Oh, well, we can't because they start beating you to death with 18 and 24% interest, and you don't ever catch it.
Absolutely. Now, the unfunded liability is 170.912. It's almost 171 trillion.
What is unfunded liability? That's
that
Medicare?
Is Social Security, Medicare Part A, B, and D, and pensions for government and military.
Okay.
Is what that is. So those are pretty secure promises that have been made. Now, who made the promises? The politicians.
Yeah.
Now, where do the politicians get their ideas from? See, I'm going to tie this all together.
I know.
They get it from lobbyists. Now, who are lobbyists? Those are former politicians that now get paid $1 million because they were they were an insider that gives them inside access.
I can get a meeting with that guy.
Exactly. So all of this being said, it just, we have to realize, folks, the game has to change. And I'm not going to get political today, but let me say this. I mean, everybody I talk to, for the most part, about politics is everybody say we need term limits. Now, everybody talks about we need term limits. We need term limits. Unfortunately, our politicians in Washington are not going to vote themselves term limits.
No.
That's like firing yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that would ever do that.
No,
in any way, shape, or form. However, you and I have the ability to impose term limits on these politicians because we still have the freedom to vote. You know, whether the machines were hacked and all of this stuff going on, it is getting louder every day.
Yeah.
But you and I have the ability in November to go vote. And what I'm challenging you to do, this needs to be the largest turnout in history of voters. We need to make a statement. You and I, the voters, need to make a statement. And anybody that has been in office more than 2 terms, 6, 8, 10 years, they got to go because they created this frickin' mess.
Tom Young, what you said is exactly right, and I don't think most people realize that. They're never going to vote term limits on themselves, but we have that ability when we go and we vote.
Absolutely. So, I'm praying every day that what's happened in the world has awakened enough people to make a statement. This is how we make a statement, folks. It isn't violence, it isn't rioting or any of that other kind of stuff. That all of these organizations and the crap they're doing, burning cities down, etc., none of that works. What works is you and I go to the voting booth, not to a voting machine, and fill out a paper ballot and vote in the largest numbers ever in the history of voters in America. We can take it back and take control if you want to, and I would hope you do. But this stuff going on, when will we wake up? Stop electing the people that spend our grandchildren's future. Debt to GDP.
Gross domestic product.
Gross domestic product. In the year 2000, the debt was 56.77% of the gross domestic product. That's the gross production of America.
That's all the stuff we do to
created,
to
manufactured, whatever.
Get paid.
Right. All the production.
Yeah.
In the year 2022, it was 123.49%.
So it doubled.
It doubled in 22 years. And the doubling is not slowing down because if you understand compound interest, exponential, it
1, 2, 4,
increases
16,
over time.
Yeah.
Now I got a whole lot more to cover, and I want to do that. And I see where we at, Curtis, for time wise.
Don't forget, you have to show people Curtis.
Yeah. Let me take a minute, and I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna show Eddie. There's Eddie. There he is.
Hi.
Eddie. Curtis.
There's Curtis.
There's Curtis. And we're in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, at WBBP WMBA radio station. The thing that I'm talking about is we have a declining workforce. I have some numbers. In the year 2000, there was 159,523,698 workers in America, employees, okay? There were 280 million population in America.
All right.
Today, 2022, there's 158 million, 163,871, and there are 330 million people in America today, as far as they know. So we added 50 million people, and we went down 1 million workers.
Yeah.
So here's the issue. We're talking about all this debt and everything going on. So we have fewer people paying into the system. People living longer. Longevity is increasing. People are living longer. And 47% of those people pay no federal income tax at all. And America's inability to save money. Because the way we are told to save money, it isn't exciting. There is no mathematical proof that it works. Isn't that understandable when you look at 95% of the people end up dead or dead broke? And it's been that way for all I remember in my adult 50 years that I've been doing the financial services stuff that I do. It has not changed. So something has to change, folks, and that's what I'm talking about.
All right, we're going to talk about what needs to change. Tom Young is my guest. We'll continue after news on Teleforum with Change.
You're listening to Beaver County Radio, 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls and 1460 WMBA Ambridge, broadcasting live from the St. Barnabas studios.
Beaver County Radio's news source, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Good morning, this is Curtis Walsh sitting in for Frank Sparks, and today's forecast is calling for mostly cloudy skies with a chance of some rain showers, reaching a high of 77 degrees today. We'll take a closer look at the Beaver County forecast after this look at news. Center Township supervisors conducted a conditional use hearing for the MTR Martial Arts Studio. Here's Beaver County Radio News correspondent Sandy Giordano with more.
Center supervisors conducted a conditional use hearing for the MTR Martial Arts Studio at Monday night's meeting that would be located at 108 Grandview Avenue in the township. The supervisor's solicitor, Vincent Tuccieri, and Police Chief Barry Kramer asked questions of the person who would be operating the studio, the number of students and their ages. Solicitor Tuccieri reported that the township has 45 days to render a decision on whether the studio would be approved. This is Sandy Giordano reporting for Beaver County Radio.
After the recent tragedy in Uvalde, Texas, where children and educators were killed at an elementary school, Representative Aaron Bernstein has introduced legislation to enhance the safety of children and staff while on school property. Quote, mass murderers are often attracted to soft targets where they know victims are not armed. According to the Crime Prevention Resource Center, there has not been a single mass shooting in a school where staff were clearly allowed to carry a firearm, end quote. House Bill 2771 would allow school employees who possess a valid Pennsylvania concealed carry permit to be armed while on school property. An employee who wishes to carry a firearm on school property would also be required to complete a rigorous firearms course from a certified instructor with a signed certificate showing completion of a training and proficiency course for the firearm the employee intends to carry on school grounds. At the present time, 28 states make it clear in statute that teachers or school staff can be armed while on school property. Pennsylvania is not one of them. Senator Doug Mastriano has introduced Senate Bill 1288 legislation, which is the same as Bernstein's bill that would end Pennsylvania's gun-free school zones. House Bill 2771 will most likely be referred to the House Education Committee for consideration. Center Township supervisors heard updates on a paving project underway. Here's Beaver County Radio News correspondent Sandy Giordano with more.
Center Township engineer Ned Mitrovich reported to the supervisors Monday night that the Beaver Valley Mall Boulevard paving is underway and is a priority project. Cost of the project is close to $1 million, he said. The paving at the Township Park is expected to be complete in a few days. Mitrovich reported that Gulfview Road paving for the intersection's cost is $100,000. Resident Christine Vantreska told the supervisors that there have been 3 wrecks in front of her home located at 1236 Chapel Road. The speed limit is 35 miles an hour there. She thanked Police Chief Barry Kramer and the department for slowing the traffic down in that area. Resident Bob Williams reported that there is speeding from Pennsylvania State University to the top of the hill. Supervisor Lisa Master-Francesco advised the residents since the roads are state to contact State Representative Josh Kale. Police Chief Kramer said he'd address the issues also. A public hearing preceded the regular meeting to amend the zoning ordinance to have storage units eliminated from the C2 district in the township. The supervisors reported that the township and county planning commissions didn't respond to the proposed action. This is Sandy Giordano reporting for Beaver County Radio.
Kraft Heinz is recalling thousands of pouches of Capri Sun after some cleaning solution accidentally mixed with the juice on a production line. The company says it's recalling about 5,760 cases of Capri Sun Wild Cherry flavored juice blend. The best when used by date on the packages is June 25, 2023. Kraft Heinz says the diluted cleaning solution is used on food processing equipment. The company says it discovered the problem after getting consumer complaints about the juice's taste. Consumers who bought the affected drinks should return them to the store where they were purchased to receive a refund.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM. Along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Mostly cloudy today with a slight chance of a rain shower here and there. We'll have a high of 77 degrees. Mostly cloudy skies this evening with a few showers developing late, going down to a low of 62. Showers tomorrow with a high of 79. On Thursday, a high of 80 with partly cloudy skies. Sunny skies Friday with a high of 84. And for the weekend, a high of 85 Saturday, partly cloudy. Valley, and on Sunday, some scattered thunderstorms possible with a high of 81. Currently here in Beaver County, we are at 65 degrees. That's a look at the news for now. I'm Curtis Walsh for 1230 WBVP 1460 WNBA 95.7 FM, 99.3 FM, all presented by St. Barnabas and streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
Live music is back in Beaver County. St. Barnabas, along with the Beaver Station Cultural and Event Center, is pleased to present this year's summer concert series. 3 big concerts are planned to take place on the event lawn next to Beaver Station in the east end of Beaver. The first show is July 22nd, featuring Buffalo Rose, a super talented Pittsburgh area group specializing in modern folk and Americana acoustic music. The Buffalo Rose Show begins at 7:30 on Friday, July 22nd. Concerts admission includes complimentary beer and wine and is just $30 or $75 for all 3 concerts. Click rsvp.beaverstation.org. Coverage on Beaver County Radio is sponsored by the Beaver Falls Municipal Authority. It's a summer concert series at Beaver Station, presented in part by St. Barnabas.
I'm sick of planning everything. Reality is just a daydream. A daydream, don't let go.
You don't have to be headed back to school or have kids or grandkids enrolling in class to still earn something at this time of year. This is Andy Dangle from Freedom United Federal Credit Union. Today's lesson is on reading. If you are thinking about buying a car or recently bought one, make sure you read the fine print on the dealer financing contract. Remember, the dealer's goal is to sell you the car and not necessarily to get you the best interest rate. Keep this simple rule in mind. Check with Freedom United before you write the check. Even if you already purchased a vehicle and the dealer financed it somewhere else, bring your paperwork into Freedom United Federal Credit Union. Refinancing and saving you money is easy and takes just a few minutes. We'll do all the work. After all, this is where the interest is in you. That concludes today's lesson on reading. Visit freedomunitedfcu.com, member NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WNBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WNBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WNBA.
It is Teleforum. I'm Eddy Crow, 1230 WBVP, 1460 WNBA, 99.3 FM, 95.7 FM, presented by St. Barnabas. This is live streaming at beavercountyradio.com, and it's also being live streamed on our Facebook page, which is WBVP-WNBA. Tom Young is my guest of First Consultants and many other things, and this is on your Facebook page
Tom Young,
also.
right, Facebook Live, Tom Young.
All right, so if you weren't listening right before we had to go to news, Tom explained all the issues and said there needs to be change. How do we fix it? Because everything you said is absolutely correct. We're spending more than what is coming in, and you also talked about term limits, and you brought up a wonderful point that most people don't think about. Nobody's ever going to say, I'm going to put a term limit on my job. Right. But if that job is determined by you and me voting, we have the control of the term limits. We just vote somebody else in.
Absolutely.
All right, we got about a half hour. How do we fix it?
How do we fix it? Well, you know what? It has to start with us. And let me say that, I'm in a position to do something for you this morning that no other living person can do. If you were my own brother, I'd be saying this same stuff to you, what I'm going to tell you. And the secret product and the things where we're going to go from here is you need to step back and think about money and multiplier effect. We need to all go to the polls in November. We need to turn out they need to run out of ballots. We need to go there till they don't have any more ballots, like happened in Arizona. They were, 50,000 ballots short of the number of people. So what does that tell you? That tells you a lot of people showed up to vote.
I think we should be like Australia. You don't have to vote, but if you don't, we're going to fine you $10.
Something. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, let me start with this, and the secret starts with principles of prosperity, and now we're back to thinking and the way we think, and I have a list. There are actually 12, but I'm only going to talk about 6 of them, and the first one obviously is think. owning a prosperity mindset. In other words, you can think prosperity, and it eliminates poverty. Scarcity thinking keeps you stuck, because scarcity thinking was taught in economics. Economics is the study of the limited resources. If we look in history, and oil and gas is a big subject right now, but at one time back in the 1800s, we were running out of whale oil because we were killing whales and rendering the flubber, yeah. That's a good movie. That was a good movie.
It's a Disney version of blubber, which means you can charge more for it.
The blubber from the whales was rendered and made into wax and candles and oil,
and the bones made corsets. Yes,
absolutely. So, and we were running out of whales, and then this guy named Drake in the northwestern part of Pennsylvania found this black goo coming out of the ground. Now, the black goo coming out of the ground, that sounds like the Clampets. Remember the Clampets, the black goo coming out of the ground.
Country tea.
And found out that it burned, the Indians burned it, and on and on. So we found oil. So the mindset now, all the way to today, and if I go to 1967, and that was where OPEC was created, or not OPEC, but the Club of Rome. The people, the thinkers of the world. The Club of Rome are supposedly the smartest people on the planet. Steve Hawkins was one of those people. Remember Steve Hawkins, the paraplegic guy that couldn't talk?
The physicist.
But he was believed to be one of the smartest people in the world. So they made a prediction that the world was going to run out of oil. 2 years later, OPEC was created. They took oil at $1.23 a barrel, and 3 years later it was $12 a barrel. And that forced Nixon to take us off the gold standard. So there's a story here to all the things that have transpired, people making decisions along the way that, looking back, weren't so good. In
retrospect, bad call.
They were bad call. Okay. So what does all this have to do with today? 172, Nixon took us off the gold standard and disconnected gold from our money. And therefore, fractional banking was born in the banks of America, the Federal Reserve, which is not federal in any way. They're all private institutions, all tied, I believe, to the Rothschilds in Europe, who are believed to be worth $50 trillion. Imagine that, $50 trillion. So all of the debt, the governments and everything going on. So there was a belief that the financial system is going to implode. That's this great reset. We got World Economic Forum, and we need one world government, and all this stuff going on.
The digital currency absolutely sped me further down that path.
Absolutely.
That one was like, okay, now you're talking about controlling literally everything.
Absolutely. So let me take all of that, and I've talked about all this stuff before. You and I can't make a difference in any of that. What's going on? We can vote, okay? We can create term limits by voting people out of office that have been there too long. They created this mess. They are the perpetrators of the mess that we're in right now. And they continue to add to it. They are not doing anything or moving any towards fixing it, changing it, or whatever. So that comes down to you and I. So you and I have to make a decision. And I learned, a guy I met 35 years ago, Bob Castellone, created a model, and there are three components in that model. The first component is called protection. In that component, there are 9 elements: car insurance, home insurance, excess liability, disability, medical insurance, Social Security, wills and trusts, ownership arrangements of assets, and life insurance. So that is the protection component.
The stuff that you need in case something goes
wrong. You need
then.
all those things in those 9 elements. You're involved in all of those.
Yep.
Okay? The second component is called the savings component.
All right.
Okay? It has savings accounts, credit union accounts, money market accounts, tax-deferred savings, tax-free savings. There are 9 elements in that component. The third component is the growth component, and again, there are 9 elements, and it's government bonds, corporate bonds, and there's stocks, bonds, mutual funds, growth stocks, real estate, your home, and business. So there's 9 elements there.
The stuff that you expect or hope for a return on the investment. That
Correct.
You come out at.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Now, in the way we are taught to manage our own money and save money, we do one turn of the dollar. You know, I put it into my 401k, it stops, it's dead right
That's
there.
where it sits, right.
And under the law that was created not by the politicians but instigated by the lobbyists, all the laws on the book managing money, you know, the mutual fund industry has their own
Lobbyists.
that,
Yes, they do.
goes to Washington, and we want the law this way, or we want the law this way. So all of these things are done not in our best interest. They would be the worst fiduciaries in the world if we looked at them as a fiduciary, because they're only working on self-interest. So all of the way that we are told to save and manage our money is tainted to move the money to the financial world in every way, shape, and form. And the biggest savings plan today is the 401k.
Right.
And everybody, put all you can in your 401k. Well, let me talk about that a minute. Very simply, what is a 401k? It's a place I can put money out of my paycheck. My employer creates a plan and they manage the money. So I put money in before tax. And I think that's good. I want to avoid the tax, so I put it into this account. The only problem is when I go to get the money out, it's 100% taxable to me. I still meet people once in a while that think that it's not taxable. They put money in an IRA and that's a special thing, and I get it back tax-free.
You put it in before taxes, so you have a little more to put in. They're still getting their they're still getting theirs.
Now, let me say this now, and I'll say it again before we're done. If you're not going to do the 401k, you still have to put the money away somewhere. You can't, and that's where you get in trouble, because people think when I talk about don't do the 401k, you have a choice whether you do it or not. You can opt out. Well, then you have to have a plan. Where am I going to put it?
You have to do something.
I have to do something else
Yeah.
with it. Okay. So now the 401k and that, I think we would all agree taxes in the future are going to be higher, lower, or the same, Eddie?
They're going to be higher.
They're going to be higher.
But they'll do it a little at a time, and it'll be a fee.
It will. Now, I have a couple who were just in my office last week. They live in an apartment. They make good income. They have 2 kids, 5 and 7. And they're sitting there, and they're talking about he puts all this money in his 401k. And I looked at his tax return, and he didn't have 10% tax. So he's putting money in a 401k to avoid the tax of the 10% rate.
Isn't the tax going to be
get
bigger?
to get it back out in the future when
Yeah.
he has no tax deductions, no children to tax write off, and all of. I cannot fathom that. And then people will say, well, they don't take it out of my paycheck, I won't save it. Well, that's a problem. That's your problem.
That's on you.
And that's
Yeah.
back to what I said earlier. Remember what I said? The biggest problem in America is inability to save money.
Yeah.
That is what we're facing. So you need to create other ways to save money that impose purpose to it. In other words, it imposes those disciplines on saving money. There are other ways to do it. Doing savings and having it deducted out of your checking account. So it's got to be in there to be deducted out and sent away to wherever. So now we realize when I look at this model, I want my dollar to do more than one thing. So where is the carburetor? Think of this 3 components, 9 elements each. That's 27 elements. Okay? And there's a optimum place to put in the money. Because typically
The most efficient port.
To put in the money, but it allows me to use the money over again and do something else with it without losing the benefits that I garnered by putting it in that element. And then I go to another element, and it's there, and I get benefits there, and I can move the money again to another element. Do you see?
That sounds
The
like
way
a turbocharger. You're just moving the money back into
velocity of
create.
money and multiplier,
Yeah.
Eddie, is the term. And so it really gives me the ability, the way we all save money. We put money here, and that's it. We just sit there and we watch it. We watch it earn 1% interest or less, or 2% interest or 3% interest. We put it in the stock market and give control of it to the financial world. We watch it go up, we watch it go down, and so we get a headache. And from the roller coaster of emotions of the stock market. Now, there are alternatives to the stock market, and I'm not going to go into it, but there's passive investment, which is what most people do. You go through a suitability questionnaire, and whether you're conservative, moderate, balanced, or growth, then they pick investments that match you, and here it is, and you just watch. And the market goes down, and what do they say, Eddie? Oh, it always comes back. Just hang in there. Hang in there. Ride it to the bottom, it'll come back.
Think long term.
Well, then there's the other side of that is active management, and I have 2 money managers that are active managers. And just a quick example, in March of 2020, when COVID came, the market went from 29,000 on the Dow in March of 2020 to 19. People lost a lot of money. Now, my money managers, they started going to cash the middle of February. So not one of my accounts went down more than 10 or 12%. And by the end of the year, the worst one was up 30% by the end of the year. So there's
in a market that was down a third.
Well, they went to cash, and when the market started to recover, they were able to take advantage of opportunity because they were actively managing the money. If you don't want to ride the roller coaster to the bottom, contact me, Tom Young, First Consultants Inc., 724-728-6820, and I'll provide you information. It's really what it's about. You need to be educated on the options that are available to you that you don't know exist. Remember what I said? I'm going to share with you something today that I know you don't know, but you need to know. You're like my brother. You know, my brother is 80 years old. He'll be 81 in October. I love him dearly. Our oldest brother I lost a couple of years ago to COPD and rolling his own while the oxygen tent was on, wouldn't quit. But anyway, but this model that I'm talking about, and it is a way. So here's an example, because we're going to run out of time. If I put money, the magic product is life insurance. Now, life insurance as a common word. No. Okay? If you need lots of life insurance because you have a young family, you need lots of coverage, I use term insurance. But we use term insurance that is convertible to whole life insurance with a dividend-paying mutual life insurance company. Now, what makes the difference? You're an owner of the company. And this product I'm talking about is only available in less than 1% of the 850 or so companies that are out there. So what do you think your chances of finding out the truth about this?
One in 800?
You know, ice water in Hades, too. Yeah. You know, see, I didn't, never mind, won't go there. All right. So this is a special product. Now, how can it be so special? How come I've never heard about this? You know, everybody told me don't buy whole life, don't do this and don't do that. Well, let me give you some statistics, and I'm going to challenge you to do some research. Go on the internet in a search engine, whatever one you use, and search for BOLI, B-O-L-I.
Okay.
That means bank-owned life insurance. Bank-owned life insurance? Well, what's that? Well, in banks, there's tier one money, which is the core reserve of the bank. They can't loan it out. They can't invest it. It has to be kept absolute safe. And on average, banks put anywhere from 10 to as much as 40% of that tier one money in these life insurance policies. But yet the financial world is telling you, oh, don't ever put any money in there. Well, you realize they're the only people on the planet in America for 200 years can say, we never lost a dollar of anybody's money. Not $1, ever. And all the mutual companies that still exist today, and there's only a few dozen of them, there's not a lot of them, they're all more than 100 years old. Isn't that interesting?
That they survived that long?
They survived everything all the way back into the 1800s.
Doing it wrong, unlike all of the banks doing it right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, BOLI, B-O-L-I, bank-owned life insurance. Now, go to COLI, C-O-L-I.
All right.
Corporate-owned life insurance. Isn't that interesting?
It seems almost redundant, but I guess there's a difference.
It is, you know. And It is amazing. Now, the other kicker is the wealthy people, the people that are truly wealthy. Okay. They get it. They understand this product. And I'm not telling you to go out and buy this product. I'm telling you to get some education that I can provide you on how to meld this product into your financial world and actually create a multiplier effect on your money. Imagine if I put money somewhere, I can earn compound interest on it, but yet I can take and use that money and leverage it to do something else with it, to acquire investments, to buy cars and avoid borrowing at the bank and do other things with. Now, we're out of time. I'm going to end with this. So if I put $10,000 into a life insurance policy, now they're designed specifically to focus and have high cash value. Mm-hmm. They're not the typical life insurance, what you think life insurance is. They're designed to have high cash value. So in that model, it goes into P9, in that element, the ninth element in the protection component.
Right.
And there's the death benefit that grows every year continuously. Now, the cash value goes down into S7. So now we're in the second component, the savings component.
Savings, security first.
And now it's in S7. And the cash value accumulates there, tax deferred. However, I can leverage that money, and I'm going to buy a duplex.
Okay.
An investment property. I'm going to buy a duplex, which is down in G8. Now, I've got money now in 3 drawers on this model of 27.
And the protection part, the life stuff that you need, that's
there. The death benefit is separate. Okay, but I'm talking about the cash in the policy.
Okay.
So the duplex I bought, the monthly mortgage payment on my duplex is $866 a month.
All right.
That's $10,000 a year.
I'm glad. I knew there was a number for
So that's $10,000 a year. So I put $10,000 in my life insurance, and the first year, no, I don't have $10,000. Second year, close to it. Third year, I have $10,000 increase in cash value. I put in 10, my cash value increases by $10,000. So now I make a loan from the insurance company, and I make the mortgage payment on the rental property with the $10,000. I might even go to the bank and say, Mr. Banker, instead of paying you monthly, can I pay you one payment a year? Will you give me a discount of some kind if I pay you one payment a year?
And they
instead of one, everything's negotiable, folks. Yeah. However, now I got a duplex. What comes out of the duplex, Eddie? Don't I get rents?
Yeah.
So now I have rents to go back up and go back into the cash value to repay the $10,000 loan, and my rent should be at least $10,000 a year. So I put it back in the policy. So the same $10,000 that I put into this policy. Created cash that I could leverage, created the ability to buy a duplex, created rental income to go back, and I get a tax deduction for the mortgage, I get to depreciate the rental property, and all of this movement of money was tax-free. There was no 1099s, and that is only one turn on the money. There are more, because I can buy the second duplex in a couple of years,
right,
and the third duplex in a couple of years, and it's the same $10,000 multiplied over and over and over again. But you have to learn how to do this. That's what I do for a living. I teach people how to apply velocity of money and multiplier.
Tell people how to get in touch with you. You got 25 seconds. Go.
Got 25 seconds. I'm Tom Young. I own First Consultants Inc. in Beaver. I'm on the main street, and oh, by the way, I have rental space available right now. I'm looking for a tenant for 2 to 4 offices on the second floor. But you're at 1413 3rd Street. 724-728-6820. You go to firstconsultantsinc.com. On the website, right at the top, there's calendar, so you can go right into my calendar.
Okay.
Make an appointment. I'll make you 2 promises. When you come in for an appointment, we're going to talk about all this stuff and what it can do for you. I will not ask you to buy anything, and there will not be a second meeting required unless you decide to come back for a second meeting.
Tom Young on Teleforum on Beaver County Radio.
God bless everybody.
95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with WBVP, WMBA, and BeaverCountyRadio.com, invite you to tune in to Sounds of Faith. Tune in Sunday mornings from 7 until 9 for a mix of the best sacred music of all time. Sounds of Faith is brought to you by Crawford Tire and Beaver, the William Murphy Funeral Home, City Rescue Mission, MRS Physical Therapy, Circle of Friends, J&J Spratt Funeral Home, and Rome Monument and Inspirational Gifts. Sounds of Faith, uplifting, relaxing, and inspiring radio. Sunday mornings from 7 until 9 on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with WBVP, WMBA, and BeaverCountyRadio.com.